Okay, we're live.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to our budget workshop meeting for Monday, November 27th. Michael, you want to come up and tell us, show us the good and the bad and the ugly?
All righty. Okay, we're going to go over our budget packet that we normally go over at our meeting here. So we're going to start with our sales and use tax distribution. This is the amount of tax that was collected by the merchants in July. It was remitted to the state in August, and we received it in September of 2023. The total distribution was $395,626.07. Out of that, $249,000 went into our general fund, $58,000 went into our streets, $62,000 went into parks, and $25,000 went towards our bond payment. Page 2, this is just the distribution from the state. I've started including these in there so you could see them. We actually took in $400,000 in taxes. Then there was $12,000 in service charges, $1,800 in interest earned. So our net was $395,000. The next page shows the breakout of our 1%, and then the rest that goes to parks. To kind of show you how that went. The next page is our sales tax collected. This is just the breakdown that we've started giving you, kind of letting you know where the sales taxes came from. 16% of the sales tax for the month came from food and beverage, 61% came from miscellaneous other businesses, and 23% came from lodging. And so you'll see that breakdown for September of 23. Yes.
A lot of sales tax comes from mail order stuff, right? But there's no
Yes.
way to pull that out, is there?
It comes from what?
Mail order? If I buy parts
yes.
for my Model T and they get shipped to me, I'm paying your
The
sales
next
tax.
pages 5 through looks like 12 is the breakdown of where all that sales tax comes from.
Okay.
And I believe it's in there. I'm not exactly sure. But if it gets remitted to the state, it gets broken down into this, and it will be within that report. Let me just scan it here real quick. It's 4541 is electronic shopping and mail order. So yeah, it breaks it down to all the different categories, so you can kind of see where it's coming from. It was on page 9 is the one he's asking about. 9 and 45.
Hey, Michael,
Yes.
what is the traveler accommodation?
That's the,
7211.
What page, Autumn?
11.
11. That's the hotel motel tax.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
The kind of where we start breaking out for ours is about there on that the 7211. That's your travel accommodation. Then 7221 is your full service restaurants. 23 is your specialty foods. 24 is the drink places. 25 is your restaurants.
I gotcha.
So that's kind of the tax that we pull out there to get the bed and breakfast and get the food and beverage tax. On the next page, on page 13, this is our sales tax comparison. So for the month of September, we had a total of $333,000 that went in. And for the previous month, it was previous year it was $315,000. So we were up 17,000 for September over the previous year. That puts us at a 2.12%. I can tell you, because we've got October's number in, it's completely flat. It's almost the exact same number. I think it's 278,500. And then for November, it's 311,000. So it went up again. So we're hovering right at that 2% through the end of November. Page 14 is just kind of a bar graph to show you the year over years, and includes the year 21 for where our sales tax is at. Page 15 starts our revenue and expenditures report. At this point, at the end of September, your overall fiscal year completed is 75%. Our total revenue is $9.6 million. Our total expenses is $9.4 million. And so we're running at a surplus right now of $169,422. Is there any questions on any of the detail?
Do you anticipate that being left at the end of the year and it being a rollover, or what happens with those funds?
Those funds, they stay within our general fund. Any excess that we have will stay in our general fund, and it'll go to capital project funds in the future. That's kind of what we're, spending now is previous year's extra money that we had. So yes,
Okay.
We budget. You're going to see a pretty dramatic difference in the budget going for next year versus this year, due to some adjustments that we've made at the behest of legislative audit. So we're going to actually go from a $15 million budget down to a $12 million budget, which is going to be more realistic because some of the numbers are overlapping because of the way that things were being posted. So we've got it down to a more realistic number now.
Okay.
So we're going to be hovering at about a $12 million budget. But anything that we have in excess would go to those capital projects funds in the future. That's how we do it.
Thank you.
Okay, on page 37, this is just kind of to show you our revenue versus our expenses for the year. And this takes out beginning fund balances. It takes out any funds that we've pulled from prior years. This just shows what actual revenue we've had come in and what expenses we've had go out. And the next page shows the revenue that has come in per month versus what it was in 2022, to kind of just show a year over year for each month to show the revenue. We did pull out the COVID money that we received from the ARP so that it would be more realistic number. Page 39, this is our capital expenditures. And we have one of the things on the very first line, the ambulance, it is done. And they are going on the 5th of December to pick it up. I got the bill on it today. It's $172,654. So a little bit less than what we had budgeted at the $175, but not much. But that is completed. Gary says it looks great. He's very excited about going and getting it. So they're going to go get it this first week of December. The other change is down on the Flushing trailer. They had thought they were going to have that in this year by the end of the year, but they're not. They are moving that to the 24th, or to the year 24. So we should have it the first quarter of 24. So that'll be moved forward in the budget. Transit, his truck is ready. It's in Little Rock. He's just waiting for the state to release it so he can go and pick it up. And that will pretty much complete our capital expenditures for the year. Yeah.
Black Bass, are we rolling that over, or
Yes.
are we getting a grant, or has there been any forward motion on that at all?
There has been some forward motion on a different grant than what we had originally anticipated, and I think the mayor's talked to,
Yeah, it's been held up in federal budgets.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
So, and I'm still not sure exactly how much we're getting.
okay.
Yeah. We're anticipating around $1 million, so.
We can wait for
Anticipating, I'm
that.
sorry,
Beg pardon?
anticipating around $1 million?
Uh-huh.
That would be huge.
But again, because of the budget, what they're playing around with in the feds, we haven't gotten any definite symbol on it, except that we're going to get it. But I don't know exactly how much yet. I haven't gotten that figure yet.
Thank you.
On the next page, on page 40, this is our comparative bank balances year in. And kind of one of the things that I wanted to slow down here a little bit and talk about, we had talked about with inflation and things like that, are we burning through our cash? Are we spending our cash to operate? If you can see our year end, we ended the year December 2022 with $6.8 million in the bank. Right now we have $6 million. So that's a difference of about $800,000. There's three things that basically make up that making it a lesser amount. We've spent about $100,000 in I&I fixing things. We've spent $300,000, around $300,000 on the sidewalk project that we're waiting to get. We've submitted our request. We had to pay for it up front. We submit our request to the state, and then they reimburse us. So that money, some of that money will come back in. And then the other is the capital expenditures that we just talked about with the things that we've already spent. So when you put those three things back in there, we're actually have actually used, because that totals $890,000. Our bank balance is down $810, so we've actually been able to use some of the money that we've made this year to help pay for those capital expenditures. So we're not burning through our cash. We're not, operating at a huge deficit to where what we've got coming in is a lot less than what we've got going out. So I just kind of want to point that out.
Michael, what is WW Rehab?
Wastewater.
Wastewater.
It's a wastewater. What that was a rehab grant, and that's the balance that's left in that account from that rehab grant. And then the WWTP is the wastewater treatment plant construction. And that's from some money that was put in there for any repairs. WSO&M, that's a wash account. Since we have an enterprise fund, you have to move your money through there. So as soon as the money goes in, it comes out. So that's why the balance stays there on that. But we have to have that count. Then the water sewer I&I, that's the money where the I&I has come out, where people have paid, and that's for the repairs. And then the meter deposit, that's money that people have put against their, to get their water turned on. We're required to keep that money separate, and we're required to keep a certain percentage of our deposits in there to cover should everybody come in on the same day and need their water deposit back. So that's what that one's for. So that's a restricted fund.
Michael,
Yes, sir.
on the CDs, they never change, or do you pull the interest and put it in the general? Is that what you do?
Yes. We pull the interest off of them, leave the face amount the same, and then just renew them.
Very good.
All right, 41, there's nothing on that one. 42, as you can see, the bank balances remain consistently the same except for the drop that we just talked about. 43 is our bank balance comparison, 22 over 23. $44 is our long-term debt. As this shows, this is as of the end of September. We made our payment as of October 1st, so it was paid. So our next payment will be April 1st, 2024, which will be an interest-only payment. And then the last page is just what we've done on the sidewalk project, if there's any questions on that. So we're also handing out to you tonight the 2024 preliminary budget that we're looking at for 2024. There are some, this is for you, yes, sir.
Can I ask you a question on this before we go to that?
You bet.
On the page 37, the revenue versus expenses. We're looking at a surplus of 355, but yet down here we're at 169.
No, okay, so the difference on this is on the one that you're looking at where it talks about the percentage, that has what's called the beginning fund balances, and it means we pull cash out of our own, what we have in reserves to help pay for those capital expenditures and things. This is taking those beginning fund balances out. All it's showing is what our revenues have been and what our actual expenses are. So this is to show that we have spent some of our own money that we had in reserve to pay for those expenditures.
That's what this is?
Yes. Because that should be in red, that 355 should be in
Okay,
red.
well, that
Yeah.
makes more sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm good with that now.
Okay. So kind of how we're going to do on the budget, on the preliminary budget, we're giving it to you tonight to look through. We are going to set we're going to set a budget meeting to talk about where we're going to have department heads here to answer questions that you may have. And then we'll have a second budget meeting in December, which will be before the next council meeting. We'll answer any questions, make any adjustments. We'll go through things then. Then we'll present the final budget at the first council meeting in January, and then we'll vote on it at the last council meeting in January. So,
And in your packet, you should have your dates for those budget workshops on Thursday, December 7th, and Monday, December 11th on there. So be sure to put that on your calendars.
I'm going to be absent for
So are we able to zoom in for these workshops?
yes.
Oh, yeah, because I'll
The
need
answer is
the
yes.
5th and the 7th to zoom in. Thank you.
And in the meantime, before, rolling up to that first one on the 5th, if you come across something that you have a question about, go ahead and email me the question, and, I can send you information back and forth before then too. If you go to the last page of the budget, hang on, there's a few things I want to point out just kind of for you to look at. A couple of requests that we have had to consider. On page 4 of the budget, 01005715, this is the Cemetery Commission. We have been giving them $10,000 a year for their operations. They have requested an increase to $15,000. And then at 5728, under cemetery wages, they have asked to add a part-time sexton for 20 hours a week at $20 an hour. So their wages have gone up. So those are a couple of,
Going from 10 to 15.
excuse me?
Going from 10,000 to 15,000.
Yes, the main transfer out would be from 10,000 to 15,000, and then also the increase in their wages.
Yeah, their wages are going way up.
Yeah, that's way up there.
68 grand or something like that.
They've got a
64,
full-time person, a part-time person, and now they're asking for another part-time person. So it would be 3 employees.
They got a lot of business.
I hear people are dying to get in.
Trying to get in.
And repeat.
Tell you never.
Not a lot of repeat customers.
Yeah, they just never.
That's the first
They
time
never
I've heard
leave.
that.
On Department 12, on page 7 of 27, this is the police department, and when you, we've talked about this before, but I want to go ahead and explain it again. 0112 5008, that's PD step wages. That is the wages of where we assist the Arkansas State Police. And that is not, we put it in as a hard number, but that is not a hard number. They can get up to $86,000 worth of wages and $2,500 worth of expenses. If you go back to page 2, the very last line, you'll see the offsetting entry. Whatever we incur in those step wages or in those step purchases, we get reimbursed 100% from the state. So what we do is we put in the maximum of what the expense could be, and then we put in the maximum of what the refund could be. So that's what step wages are, or any time they have to work over to help the state police.
I do have a question on this page. You went up roughly 50 on your wages. Is that another officer, or is that just is that increases? Or?
They're going to have one opening from where Billy moved up, and then they also have an opening for a dispatcher, and I think a part-time dispatcher. So I think he's got 2 openings that he's put in for here.
But that's not additional, that's
Those are-
replacements,
Right,
right?
those are all replacements. Yeah.
Well, and then we're getting a non-commissioned officer to be downtown,
Yes.
like we used to have for the parking and
A what
biking.
now?
Huh?
Say a non-commissioned officer,
Yes.
which means what?
Ain't carrying a gun.
Yeah, basically.
Neither me.
He's not going to be, the officers we have downtown now, the problem we have is if there's a call for an officer, they got to leave the downtown and go to that call. And so when we had Manny and Angela,
Larry? Yeah.
yeah, those were non-commissioned officers. And so we're going to put another non-commissioned bike officer. That's something I've been trying to get for the last 2 years back downtown.
We used to have a commissioned bike officer.
We do, but every time we get a call, she's got to leave.
She's got to ride that bike like hell.
She's got to ride the bike like hell or get down to the car and leave, yeah. So there's going to be
Okay.
that, so, yeah. So we'll have somebody on the street all the time, so.
I wanted to go over just what the capital expenditures are that have been put in.
What page? What page?
We're going to go to page 14 for the first set. This is for the street department. They are going to add 1 vehicle. The street, which is $35,000. You're looking at line 10005800 for capital expenditures. They're going to add 1 truck, around $35,000. They're going to pay for half of that flushing trailer that we didn't get in, which was $32,500. And then the rest of it is for a backhoe, a new backhoe.
Yowie.
Yowie. Then if you go to page 16,
Michael, can we back up to
Yep.
14? 5532. What is fitness?
that is, we kind of just named it that. That is where we are in agreement with the community center on memberships to their gym, to where if an employee goes and joins, then they can submit that and we'll reimburse them for half of that. And so we have we've only had one person in Public Works that's taken advantage of it. So it's to cover that fee for the community center. And then on 16, our big capital expenditures for the year. In Department 12, the police department, we have capital expenditures of $82,000 for 2 patrol cars to replace 2 retiring cars.
Do we have to buy 2 cars every year?
We had a pretty, well, I'm gonna let you talk to Billy about that, because I talked to him about it too.
I do
and
not understand.
I'll let him explain that to you. So
He'll not be able to explain it.
okay.
I walked and looked at all the junk cars they've got over at the police department, and they just use it like a demolition derby. It's just,
2 of those cars are down, and they're fixing to go up on Governor Hills next week for sale. So there's 2 of those that are inoperable that will be going away. Then the other big expenditure for the police department, and this, we're going to probably be adjusting this as we go along. Brian had requested that we needed new body cams for the police department because the ones that we have are not working properly. They're failing on them. We don't have enough for all the patrol officers, so they're having to switch them out. When you wear them during the day, you have to come and turn it back in, and then somebody else has to pick it out. So we had asked Brian to get a quote on some body cams, and the quote came in at $77,000. But Billy has gone back and talked to them, and there were some things that Brian had requested and ordered that Billy doesn't feel like we need. So they're producing a new quote for him. So what we did is just went ahead and put this in here because it's worst case scenario. But as we go along throughout this process, hopefully we're going to be able to lower that number. So,
I don't know what anybody else thinks, but I think we need the body cams on all officers when they're on duty.
yeah, I agree.
What code is that? Which code was that under?
It's on page
16. It's 12/12/5800 capital expenditures.
Oh, that's all in there. Okay, I got you.
It's the second one for 80,000.
Okay, thank you.
Then under the fire EMS, the 70,000 is for turnout gear, where they have to replace their gear has a date on it, and once certain things get to a certain age, they have to be replaced. And so this is what Gary is estimating that it's going to take to replace the gear that they have that's going out of commission. 23 is for AEDs. Do you remember what it stands for, Butch? They're defibrillators.
Automatic external defibrillator.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so that's to put those within city buildings for
emergencies.
emergencies. Yep. The next one for $132,000 is for 2 ambulance cots. The cots that we have are becoming obsolete. And
Cots?
Are you talking about the stretchers?
yes.
Seriously?
Dirty.
Okay, so what this consists of is the new ambulance will have a lift on it that the cot clicks into and it lifts it up. And so that keeps them from straining their backs and everything of having to lift the person in. So one ambulance has it. The new ambulance is going to need to be retrofitted for a lift, so that's about $30-something thousand. Then the cots are about $50,000 a piece.
Damn,
We could hire,
that's a racket.
we could hire a
wrong
couple
business.
employees and I got a cot under one of my beds. We can just sit them
So
down.
I've already told
That's the
Gary
problem we've gotten
that
into.
I already explained to Gary that there's going to be a lot of sticker shock on that, so he's going to have a whole presentation of what the cots do. So when he comes,
Do they do dishes?
well, that's what, Butch and I had a lot of questions like that.
Is he going to be bringing alternatives to 132,000?
I don't think
No.
there are any alternatives.
There are no alternatives. It's a certain
Yeah,
kind of cot
we
that
did
it has
or
to
we
be.
don't.
I'm not gonna be here for that budget from the 5th or whatever it is, but I would suggest you bringing out ambulance or something, go out and look, if they've got one on hand already, is that right?
They will
Better
be,
see what
well,
the hell it is. 'cause
Yeah, they do have it on hand.
That's,
Gold plated.
yeah.
yeah.
No, but we have a lot of claims filed,
Workman's comp.
workman's comp, because of lifting those things. Some of the people they have to lift are not lightweight.
And also it has something to do with, which he can explain this a lot better than I can, but it has something to do with once they get the cot in there, it locks into the ambulance in a certain way. But the way our ambulance have it, they could be subject to coming undone in a rollover situation. So this new locking mechanism that they're putting in ambulances now keeps it from, if there was an accident with a patient in the back, keeps them from rolling out. So the new ambulance is going to have all this on it. The old ambulance, or one of our old ambulances has it because we bought a demo model last year. We were able to get a demo model. So we bought it, and so this will be to retrofit the other ambulance.
It's just like everything else, it's a racket. I mean, because they can do it, they do it.
What about
We
a
just
dolly?
get shafted.
Not a lot of competition.
Like police cars.
Yeah.
It's just-
So, yeah, he's gonna,
Any of it, it's all.
and he can explain that a lot better than I can.
Because, I mean, the ones that I've seen, they pull up to the back of the ambulance, you put the head of the patient at the rear of the ambulance,
Collapses and slides
and
right
it
in.
collapses and slides right in.
Walks right in with a bar.
Yeah.
Believe me, I've used it hundreds of times.
They're not picking people off.
Let's just give them a bunch of sheets.
Yeah,
We can
I
lift them up
see
in
it.
sheets.
I just say a dolly.
So that's kind of why I'm making y'all aware of these things, so
Yeah.
that, you know, you can ask those questions to him, of why we need it and everything. Okay, the other capital expenditure is Department 15, and this is for building. I put in $25,000 for a truck. The SUV that Jacob is driving is on its last leg, and we're spending a ton on maintenance on it. So we're going to get him a small truck to be able to drive. So that was the capital expenditure there. The other thing that I wanted to point out is the water department, which starts on page 22. In the past, what we've done is we have figured out the revenue, figured out the expenditures, and then we have plugged the beginning fund balance with what money we had left over from the previous years and made it balance. I haven't done that because I wanted y'all to be able to see how the water department is operating because our revenues just are not meeting our expenditures. So overall, all we have to do is pass a balanced budget, and this is a balanced budget because in the end, we're showing a $327,000 surplus. So we can pass it with the water department showing that it's, by our estimations, is going to lose some money next year.
So, Michael, with the increase in water rates that we passed, is this going to offset any of this?
No. That the amount that we have figured up, because one of the things is we have another increase, 10% increase in our cost of water come January 1. Carol Boone has raised our rates again. So we're not keeping up with the cost of the water. And so it's, you know, we lagged in raising the rates for quite a while. And so our water sales versus what we're spending for the water is, you know, we're just not keeping up with the rate.
We absorbed at least one, if
Yep.
not two, raises from Carol Boone Water District.
Yep.
We did pass that on to our customers.
So that will, you know, my thinking is that we leave it as a negative. We keep going. We see how we're at. Then if we, mid-year, if we've been able to recoup some of that money and shrink that deficit, then great, we're good. If we don't, then, you know, at the end of the year next year, we may have to look at raising water rates again. So, yes, sir.
These are the expenses, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have no I&I expenses in the wastewater department. Why not? Or am am I looking at?
No, that's
Page
Yeah.
24.
Oh,
Are you
that's,
looking at
that's income?
Are you looking
Yeah,
at
you're
page
looking at income
24?
because we had to take that out.
Oh, okay.
So now we
okay.
report all income.
Oh, yeah, okay, I'm on the wrong page.
Yep. We report all
Good.
income under water coming in because the INI is based on the water flow.
Yeah.
So we took that off of wastewater, but then underwater. But how we kind of handle that is we kind of handle that as a wash. We say, okay, we're going to have $240,000 coming in INI. We're going to spend 120 and 120 in INI because we know we're going to spend more than that. So we don't want to rely on that income as extra income
Right.
to be more realistic.
I see it here, so, yeah.
And the only capital expenditure that we have for, we have two capital expenditures in water. For the water department, 21, we have $35,000 for a new vehicle. And then in 80, 22, 5800, we have the rest of the flushing trailer, which is 32.5. Now, since we are paying for those out of money that we currently have in the water department, I did add those back as beginning fund balances because we're going to have to pay for those with money that we had in previous years. So when you look under 80, 21, 40, 40, beginning fund balance 35,000, that's to pay for the truck. 80, 22, 40, 40, beginning fund balance 32.5, that's to pay for the other part of the flushing trailer.
What is 5827? On page 23?
INI expenditures, 80,
Oh.
21, 58, 27, that's
I
our
misread
INI.
it, sorry.
Just don't ask Simon about INI. He and I fight over it all the time. INI means something totally different in water. But we name this INI, so every time I say INI, he thinks I'm talking about something else. So. At the end, you'll see on the last page, on page 27, we're looking at revenues of $12.6 million, expenditures of $12.2 million, with a surplus of $327,000.
Well, that's,
This year, we
Cut it
projected like
close.
400, we were like 450 this year. So we're just projecting it pretty flat like we did this year. I mean, we're not trying to,
And it also includes this 5%
salary increases.
salary increase for merit. And,
So under transit, 5,800 capital expenditures, what is that?
Let me look real quick. What's the dollar
So
amount?
everyone in town gets all our city employees get a 5%?
No, it's 3 and 2. Part of it's merit and part of it cost of living. In other words,
David, what was the number?
I'm on page 27,
Okay.
5,800. $242,000.
That is for, honestly I don't have his paperwork with me.
I don't know if that's a tram. I think that's a tram. It's under tram, transit tram capital.
Yeah.
So, and that's something they pay, the feds pay 80% of. So,
That would, let me look one place. It's going to be, if you'll look back on 85004121, that's
What page?
25, page 25. That's going to be the reimbursement. So we're spending 242, but we're getting 193.6 back. So it's going to be an expenditure of about $50,000 will be our portion. And I think that's to buy a new tram. I'll have to look on it and make sure for sure. So I'll check on that for sure. And he did inform me today, there's going to be quite a bit of change in his numbers, but not his overall bottom line. He had the state came back and said some of the way where he was classifying some of his employees need to be classified in different departments, and so he gave me an updated one right before I came over here. So there will be some change, some moving around of the numbers, but the overall bottom line should stay the same. He's just got to move some people to different departments for the reimbursement.
Barry, in answer to your question, it's split. It depends on the evaluation of the employee, whether or not they get the full 2%. They'll get it.
But everybody gets a 3.
Everybody gets 3 for cost of living, and then the 2 depends on the merit.
But what we do is, in figuring the budget, since we're not to the review process, we go ahead and figure 5%, that everybody's going to get 5, and then it's up to the department head for that 2% to decide what they want to give. So that way we're not over or under. Has anybody checked out the new website?
Yes.
Do you like it? I like it.
You're going to be mentioned.
I wasn't trying to get. I did most of the work.
You did.
So, no, I really like it. I think it looks good.
It does.
It looks really good.
Yeah.
It was funny. We sent them some pictures, and the first time they sent it over to Ida and I to look at, the first picture was really nice, and we were all excited. And then the next picture pops up, and it's a whole field of sunflowers. And we were like, what? It's like, we didn't send that picture. So we immediately sent it back to them, and like within a day, they had it updated with our real pictures. I don't know where they came up with that picture. But I think the pictures look really good on it. I think it makes us look real professional. And it's going to get more developed as we go along. So there'll be more things to it.
It's the first time we've had it updated in 20 years.
Yeah, it was well overdue, wasn't it?
Yeah.
If you guys see any issues with it, please shoot me an email because it's really easy to edit. I can go in there and fix whatever you need. It's really easy to do, so don't hesitate to shoot me an email if something's wrong.
I'll send you a better picture.
Well, we when we were editing it, when Ida and I were editing it, we were going through, and she would have her page of things that she found that I didn't, and I'd have my page of things I found that she didn't. So there's so much to it that unless you actually need that tab or looking for that person or whatever, you don't necessarily click on it. So we tried to click through everything and update everything, but if you do see something, please let us know because we want to get it correct. All right.
All right, thank you, Michael.
Thanks, guys.
Good job. All right, looks like we're going to run right into our city council meeting.
But I gotta switch over to switch.